Chapter 2. Chapter 2 is called The Practice of Yoga. Okay? That's pretty significant. So if you're a yoga teacher, you may want to read this chapter. Here it is, a 5,000-year-old scripture that's describing the practice of yoga, of union. And we're about to get a concept that is really the foundation of I'll read and we'll go on from there. As Arjuna sat there, overwhelmed with pity, desperate, tears streaming from his eyes, Krishna spoke these words to him. The blessed Lord said, although you mean well, Arjuna, your sorrow is sheer delusion. Wise men do not grieve for the dead or for the living. Never was there a time when I did not exist, or you, or these kings, nor will there come a time when we cease to be. These bodies come to an end, but the vast embodied self is ageless, fathomless, eternal. Therefore, you must fight, Arjuna. If you think that this self can kill, or you think that it can be killed, you do not understand reality's subtle ways. Knowing that you are eternal, unborn, beyond destruction, how could you kill, and whom could you kill, Arjuna? The sharpest sword will not pierce you. The hottest flame will not singe you. Water will not make you moist. Wind will not cause you to wither. You have no reason for your sorrow. Okay, so what Krishna just said here is, you are infinite, eternal, whole, and so is everyone and everything else. Or not. We should certainly question that. So, you're infinite, eternal, and whole, or you're not. And ultimately, when we have any philosophical discussion, any meaningful philosophical discussion, and even any meaningful mathematical discussion, it gets down to this concept, which is really hard for the mind to grasp, and it's also got in it, this concept has in it the heart of yoga practice. You are either infinite, eternal, and whole, or you're not. There is either such a thing as infinity, endless, going on, forever, never-ending infinity, or there's not. And there isn't an in-between. Well, there's sort of like an infinity thing, but it really has an end. But if it ends, then it's not infinity. You're either infinite, eternal, and whole, or you're not. The moment we start to have a discussion about infinity, we're actually talking about a finite concept, okay? But the experience of infinity is actually an experience that the mind can't get to. The mind only thinks in finite realms, which is why this discussion becomes really weird. So often what happens is in these discussions, people start to think of opposites. Oh, and this is how our world is divided up. There's good and there's evil. Well, let me do it this way. There's good and there's evil. There's love and there's fear. There's God and there's Satan. There's, let's just go on, right? There's all those dualities, and we put them on the scale. But there's the infinite, and then what's opposite of the infinite is the finite, right? On that scale. Here's the problem. What's infinite can't have an opposite. What's infinite can't have an opposite. So, for example, A Course in Miracles, which I really love and recommend and feel also like this, The Course in Miracles is the universal curriculum. It just happens to be it in a Christian-type format. The opening of A Course in Miracles says this: the opposite of love is fear. But What's all-encompassing can't have an opposite. Herein lies the peace of God. Now, what I love about that is it doesn't tell you which one of those, love or fear, is really, all-encompassing. That's your journey to describe. Are we surrounded by infinite chaos? That's one possible option, with no meaning whatsoever. Or are we somehow enveloped in an eternal order and love? Good question. Here's another one. And this is where this thinking starts to get really wacky. So in New Age thought, and we're about to get to the science of this, in New Age thought, the thought is that your belief creates your reality, right? So it's really important to have some ideas about, being able to decide deliberately your belief so that your reality and your belief match up. Or there's the idea that, reality just happens, and from reality you choose what you want to believe. So you experience what you believe. Unless, of course, you believe you don't experience what you believe. Which still means you experience what you believe. So now we're back on that, wow, how does that work? So there's quite a number of these. When we start to say, wow, if there is a God that is everywhere, all the time, everywhere, in every thought, the fact that we separate ourselves and think somehow we have separated ourselves from God is a joke. Is it possible to separate ourselves from all that is when we're a part of all that is? We can believe that we separate ourselves from all that is, and thus we experience being separated from all that is, but is it possible to actually be separated from all that is? It's possible to experience ourselves as separated from all that is. And now I'm talking crazy, and it'll get worse.